October 9th, Jupiter retrograde begins. This is another big picture long-term thing because Jupiter retrograde is almost half the year. It's about 4.5 months. And how do we interpret this for ourselves? Well, let me tell you. Jupiter has been expanding some area of your life. Jupiter recently moved into Gemini, and that has affected an expansion on some house, some area of your chart. Check your chart for where that is. Jupiter is going to be hanging out in the neighborhood of 21 degrees Gemini for a while. So locate that in your house and then, or in your chart, locate the house that is in your chart, and you get an idea of how that's going to impact on your life. Is it touching planets in your chart? Jupiter's in a house for everybody, but those are the questions to ask yourself to really gauge how this is going to impact you. Over the next 4.5 months, Jupiter backtracks that same territory that it just crossed into the beginning of Gemini all the way into 21. So it's going to start backtracking at 21 Gemini and going to 2019 and so on. And that's going to prompt a more inward expansion. Retrograde planets draw the energy inward and toward the past. Check in on those projects and situations that showed up in the recent past. Jupiter now supports you protecting your gains and growing your inner awareness. These next few months are about educating yourself in some new path and learning as much as you can about it. Dig into some new area of study. Learn about a new market or new techniques or software or creative avenues or life things that have opened to you over the summer, because now is when we start to go deeper with it. Okay. By October 11th, the moon has moved into the second quarter, stays there till the 16th, and leading up to the full moon on the 17th. This is the mature phase of the waxing hemicycle of the lunar cycle. Momentum is building for your projects and plans. Emotional energy is building up towards that full moon. Materials and efforts are coming together. You can be bringing other people on board with your plans and ideas. Assemble, build, test, get those things out there into the world. Awesome. Now let's talk about this weekend, because there's a little bit of red on the calendar throughout the weekend, and that's showing up as Mars square Chiron, Sun square Mars, and the Sun being opposite Chiron. Okay, that's a T-square. That's looking like a T-square there. I wrote in the earlier part of this forecast, I forecasted about Chiron, the wounded healer, opening up doors of opportunity all month through its connection with Jupiter, allowing you to gently connect and work with difficult issues like pain, alienation, and feeling different or misfit. But for these few days, Chiron turns into the grouchy healer. Patience is short, tempers are short, and whether or not you see it, pain is front and center for a lot of folks. As the Sun transits both of these planets, both Mars and Chiron, forming a powerful T-square in cardinal signs, which possess the most power to motivate action and inspire change. Awesome. But these can also have you feeling out of gas by the end of the day on October 13th. So to plan an easy weekend for yourself if you can. Allow yourself to be motivated, inspired, or ticked off to the point of doing something. But don't be impulsive about it. Don't be in a hurry unless, of course, your safety is at risk. And safeguard your physical energy, as your battery will drain faster during these days than the rest of the month. Okay, so the weekend of the 13th, it's a little dicey. The overall is still really good. The overall is still really green, but we have this hurdle. We have this hurdle that we have to deal with. Okay, so let me show you the chart of the full moon There we go. Full moon in Aries. And here's what we're building up to. All right, so there's Mars. There's the sun and the moon, okay? They're always opposite one another. That's the definition of a full moon. But look at Mars squaring that full moon, and look at Pluto also in the mix. So basically this full moon is forming a grand cross, okay? The sun-moon opposition, the Pluto-Mars opposition are basically forming this grand cross in cardinal signs. And this one is already giving me PTSD. I'm kidding about that, but only sort of. I do think we may see some violence in the news, okay? So hopefully not in your world and hitting you in a personal way, but I think we might see it in the news. Okay, unfortunately, this full moon squares its own ruler. It's an Aries moon, and it squares Mars and Pluto at the final degree of Capricorn. Will there be violence? Will Mars in Cancer bring out these self-proclaimed protectors who are really the bullies? There may be some smoke and mirrors and underhanded dealings taking place with whatever is going boom, whatever's exploding, whatever's dramatic, being a distraction from what's really taking place. That's that Pluto force in there. With 4 planets at the end degrees of their signs and Pluto on the final visit to 29 degrees of Capricorn, I'm hopeful that the whole deception will ultimately be shut down. Yeah, but watch out for this full moon. Schedule light around this full moon. I think that if you have a little time for self-care, you will be glad that you have it during the full moon time.